Welcome to Modern Farm Business Podcast. This podcast is designed to help the farm leader bring their business to the next level. We'll cover everything from leadership and finance to strategy and planning. I'm your host, Dean Hefta. One of the things that separates both the most successful and the least successful people from the average in our economy is one thing: their habits. Today we're talking about how, as leaders, we can put unconscious thinking to work as an advantage for our business. Often, when we hear about habits, we hear about them as bad habits. Think of a bad habit you might have. Maybe it's procrastinating or not putting tools back where you got them from or smoking. When I think of bad habits, it's those things we repeatedly do without conscious thought that move us away from our goals, which means we can only understand a bad habit in the light of somebody's goals. I suppose we could see somebody spending every evening watching TV, and from the outside it looks like a bad habit. But I guess if their goal is to watch the entire Cheers TV series, then their behaviors or their habits would be aligned with their goal. So the flip side is thinking about good habits. I look at good habits as the things we repeatedly do without conscious thought that move us closer to our goals. The key to the habit is the unconscious thought. Here's a reality check for all of us. Our brains are lazy. The brain wants to burn as few calories as possible, and thinking burns calories. But those deeper brain processes, breathing, driving our car on a country road, requires many fewer calories than, say, figuring out the square root of 361 or planning out our family vacation. Thinking requires attention and energy. And when we're tired, we don't want to do it. And if it isn't fun, we really don't want to do it. So what top performers have figured out is the process of developing habits around the things that are going to move them closer to their goals. You can think about these habits in a couple of different contexts. First is around our own habits. The second is around our environment or our organizational habits. Individual habits are those things that we personally do and have control over each day. The organizational habits are related to the rhythms and routines we help our teams develop, the things that are going to get us as a whole closer to our goal. One of the best-known authors on habit is Charles Duhigg. He wrote the book, The Power of Habit. In it, he dives into better understanding habits and what really makes a habit. He cites what he calls the habit loop. The habit loop has three elements: a cue, a routine, and a reward. The cue is just that, something that triggers you. Maybe it's the smell of brewed coffee in the morning. It could be the vibration of your cell phone in your pocket. There is a routine that then follows the trigger. It's the thing that we actually do. The coffee aroma triggers you into taking a shower and making breakfast. The vibration of your phone has you checking to see what's going on. The last piece is a reward. Your stomach gets the reward of a satisfying meal to start the day. Your brain gets the reward of some piece of news from your phone. Regardless of the habit, you'll be able to deconstruct it into those three elements. So let's look at building good habits. To know if it's a good habit, first we need to know what we want. And that becomes our first question. What do you want? Now, if you're going to embark on building habits as a part of your success strategy, I'd encourage you to focus on one habit at a time rather than trying to start doing 6 new things at once. So the question, what do you want? This is unique to you. It could be to lose 30 pounds, organize your business financials, or keep a tidy house. It's something that's important and valuable to you that is going to require an ongoing behavior change. This really gets to the heart of why business turnaround TV shows or those home organization programs that for a while were so popular really don't work. They're an event that creates the result, but life isn't an event. It's a process. Once the producers of the program leave, the people who created the mess in the first place still have the same habits in place that will create that same mess again. The problem is, changing habits doesn't make for good television. It's slow and is really hard to see by people from the outside. When you want to build new habits, I've got a few tips here from Gary Keller, the author of the book, The One Thing. First, focus on one habit at a time. If you try to change too many things at once, you end up really diluting your attention, and our energy is limited, and building habits requires effort. Another one is to track your progress. It could be in a journal or on a wall calendar. Mark off every time you do that activity. This becomes a visual representation that helps your brain to see the progress you're making. Here's another good one. Visualize the benefits. If it's a good habit, there's a chance you aren't getting immediate gratification from it. To boost your commitment, take the time to envision the payoff of the habit. All the good stuff that's going to come from doing this thing every day. It helps to bring that future payoff just a little bit closer into the moment. And finally, keep reminders handy. I'll also call it, make it easy to do the right thing. So if you do want to take a 20-minute jog every morning, put your running gear in the bathroom so it's right there when you're brushing your teeth. If you want to put the tools back when you're done, draw outlines on the wall where everything goes. That way you can immediately see what's missing, making it easier to do the right thing. Think of creative ways to help trigger your brain into doing the activity that will lead to the outcome that you want. So, focus on one habit at a time, track your progress each day, visualize the benefit of the habit, and put reminders in place to make it easier to do the right thing. Now, something that inevitably comes up when you talk habits is the question, how long does it take to build a new habit? You may hear 14 days or 21 days, and it's comforting to know it's a specific number. It makes it feel very scientific. Oh, Frank, I'd have the habit of running every day, but I only made it 20 days in a row, one day short of really making it a habit. Now, we know we're more complex than that as individuals. Research out of the University College of London found that the period of time is actually a range depending on the habit and the individual. And the range they found was from 18 days to, hold on to your hat, 245 days. That's quite a range. What they suggest is if you do want a target number, when they're looking at the data, shoot for 66. Now, that doesn't make it a magical number, but what that implies is it's a bit longer than we probably thought to really solidify that habit. And that doesn't mean that for some habits and for some people, 21 isn't enough. For other situations, 66 might not be enough, but it's a good starting point and a target that you can lay out. Now, remember, these approaches can be applied at two levels, the individual level and the organizational level. When you're looking at the individual goals that you want to accomplish through better habits, be it a healthier lifestyle or writing a book, you simply have to focus on your own activities, those things that you have control over. And you need to set up the structures and manage yourself so you can really focus on building the habits that are going to lead to the outcomes you want. But if we're leading an organization and we want to instill a group habit, we have to take a bigger picture view. Let's say you want your team to begin having a 10-minute huddle every morning. You as a leader need to have the conviction that getting everybody on the same page will have a long-term benefit to the group. You also have to account for the resistance from people, not react to the resistance, but simply expect that there's going to be some resistance you're going to experience. When you're looking at group habits, those same 4 tips that we talked about earlier are useful. Remember, one habit at a time, especially in a group setting, that focus really matters. Tracking progress. Have a big calendar on the wall so the group can see how are we doing on our habit development. Visualize the benefits. This is both important for the leader, but also for the group to understand. This is the why. We aren't doing these things just to have something to do. There is a purpose. Here's where for the group, you can add a time box. Say, we're going to do this for 2 months. And if we haven't seen a benefit, we'll stop. We don't have to keep going, but we need to commit for 2 months to do this. And keep reminders handy. In the beginning, you may need to have calendar reminders on people's phones, or maybe for the first week, you send text messages to remind people to begin developing that habit. You're trying to jumpstart the progress and short-circuit those mental pathways that are already in place. So, to wrap this up, habits can be good habits and bad habits. It really depends on your goals. Habits are those behaviors that we do without conscious thought. They require much less mental energy than other activities. Oh, and if you're still curious, the square root of 361, it's 19. And if you want to build your habit, plan on at least 3 weeks, but maybe better to plan on 2 months to really focus on getting that habit built. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Modern Farm Business. If you get value out of this program, do me a favor and tell a friend about it. If you have any thoughts, questions, or ideas, be sure to email me at dean@modernfarmbusiness.com. Thanks again, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.